Memorial Day weekend.
Hi everybody, welcome. Today I'm putting out a video about Memorial Day, and the reason behind this is because so often we seem to have forgotten as a country and as a culture what Memorial Day is really about and why we celebrate this lovely 3-day weekend that we just all love to go out and go camping and fishing and barbecuing with our families. Now, Memorial Day started back right after the Civil War as something called Declaration Day. And this was essentially an informal day in spring where communities would go out and decorate the newly formed national cemeteries for the burial of soldiers during the Civil War. And eventually this took form, and around World War I and World War II, when we saw more loss of life, Civil War was the greatest loss of American life during war that we've seen, and World War I and World War II were obviously huge wars, huge moments that continue to stand out in history and will do so forever, I'm sure. So when that happened, Memorial Day kind of became an established national holiday set aside for the recognition and the honor of these men and women who died. The tradition started as people going out and decorating the cemeteries with flowers and flags, that kind of stuff, which we do see some of that we still do, but more often it seems to be less and less. And today I just wanted to go through and show my weekend that started with attending a funeral for a soldier, Dante Tinney, who has just been returned home after having died at the attacks in Pearl Harbor. He's only just been identified through DNA and distant relatives. His funeral was on Saturday before Memorial Day. I didn't film this because it just didn't seem appropriate, and it was so powerful for me to see and to experience and to really understand and imagine what his family must have felt, who are no longer alive. Nobody who knew him are currently alive, so his parents, what they must have felt and experienced having known that he was there but not being able to have him back home. He had been missing in the line of duty for all these years, and they died. They went to their graves not knowing. And then just the experience of him and his colleagues and everyone who was surrounding that incident, and it just kind of all came back to me as I was standing there attending the ceremony. Now, from that, I decided that it would be important to share Memorial Day in a way that I hope and I try to honor these men and women. So please, as you're watching, just take a moment to really consider and to think about and really honor and memorialize these brave men and women. Take a moment of silence and just really think about why we have Memorial Day and why we celebrate. Guys, I'm back in the car now after attending the ceremony and watching the funeral, and it's just a lot. It's a lot. When I got there, the entire weight of what was happening and what this man must have experienced and what this family must have thought, and what I was seeing just crashed down on me, and I couldn't bring myself to take away from that moment by putting it on camera. We weren't at war. We were not at war until after Pearl Harbor was attacked. There was no reason for him to expect that this could even happen. And then for the family to be without answers for that long, and then all of a sudden he comes home. This just, it really puts into perspective what Memorial Day is about and why we do this. And yeah, I don't know, guys. See?
Hey.
And we're going to go to the cemetery in Evelyn. Are we heading to Evelyn or Virginia? Virginia. We're heading to Virginia. We're going to the Virginia Memorial Day ceremony, which is something that we do every year. We've done this for since I was 16. We've kind of made it a tradition that we would go together. If you haven't seen Memorial Day ceremonies in your own town or city, they happen all over the country. It's where Memorial Day started was after the Civil War. People would just kind of go out on their own and do these impromptu ceremonies in the spring and decorate grave sites for some of the first national ceremonies after the biggest loss of American life in any war. And then it just kind of picked up steam and eventually became a nationally recognized holiday. So if you haven't gone to see a ceremony, then I recommend checking one out and just remembering what Memorial Day is really all supposed to be about. They moved the ceremony here, so we should be there in a minute.
Eternal God,
Hallelujah.
we thank you for your covenant that has been made against war.
Right. Hey.
Great. Grant to us
Present.
blessing
Ha.
and peace for all mankind. As we meet here for the purposes of setting aside a day to remember all those who have paid the price of peace, especially for those who are still prisoners of war, and their sacrifices that we might live. Accept our gratitude in making us more worthy of their sacrifices. Help us to follow more closely your ways, that peace and goodwill might abound throughout the world. Thank you for the many blessings which you have given our country, and grant that
Hey, so it's been a few hours. I'm back here with my sister who doesn't want to be on film. But the last time I was here, and I didn't film it last time, we had found some graves of soldiers and vets that died and were partially buried and missed over for the flags. So we wanted to come out here and pay respects and put flags, kind of unbury a bit and put some flags on them, because nobody deserves to have their memorials forgotten just because of it. So that's what we're doing here. Now, Memorial Day too often is Memorial Day has become partying and, I don't know, 3-day weekends with the families and barbecues. And although those are all great things, sorry, drop the camera. So, although those are all great things, it's important to remember why we do what we do and why we have this great 3-day weekend. And that's because of these men and women who died fighting the wars and defending our country. Now, whether you believe in those wars and the politics surrounding it and all that kind of stuff is really completely besides the point, because these men and women saw and experienced and sometimes died with so much more trauma, and they saw things that you and I never experience. Most of us won't ever experience, and gladly so. And they did it because they believed in our country. That's why my sister and I are out here cleaning up their graves and giving these soldiers the respect that they deserve. Not only today on Memorial Day, but every day. Memorial Day just happens to be that day set aside for these purposes specifically. So we're gonna go through and we're gonna finish up a bit here, and then I don't know, talk to you guys later. Alright, we just finished up here. We got through quite a few graves, uncovered quite a few head and foot stones, and got to honor a lot of people who served our country and served it well. We're both very dirty, very sweaty, and very tired, but at the end of the day, today, we get to go home to our family, and many of them never got to.